Oh, hey, are you thinking about making the move from Portland to Vancouver, Washington? Well, this is everything you need to know before you do that. Welcome to the Living in Vancouver and Camas, Washington YouTube channel. Subscribe to be the first one to know about all things living in Vancouver and Camas, Washington. And today we are talking about if you live in Portland metro area right now on the Oregon side and you're thinking about moving to Vancouver, Camas, Battleground, Ridgefield, and you're thinking about moving to Clark County, this video is for you. The first thing I want you to know if you're thinking about this, and you probably already know this if you live in Portland area, is that the two areas are very culturally different. If you live in Portland, the general Portland, Oregon area, you probably have a strong affinity for Portland and for the state of Oregon, and you likely don't go over to Vancouver for much. And in the same way, if you live in Vancouver area, you probably have a strong affinity for the Vancouver area and for Washington state. And you probably go to Portland a little bit more than Portland people come to Vancouver. But if you do go to Portland, you probably just go over there for some occasional entertainment. So even though the two areas are separated by 5 minutes across the bridge, across the river, they are very, very different. Now, I live and work exclusively in Washington state, so you may say I'm biased, but I think that living in Vancouver, Clark County, and Washington state is a lot better than living in Portland and Oregon. And I may be biased, but the reason I only work and live in this area is because I think that it's better. So truly I want to do what is best for the people that I serve. Now, why are some of the reasons you may be leaving the Portland area? Of course, if you live there, you know that homelessness has gone up, there are riots, there's graffiti on the streets, there's just a general lack of community and sense of togetherness. And you may even say that there's a lack of leadership in your local government. Thankfully, here in Vancouver, we're not seeing those type of problems, and we're hoping that we don't ever see those type of problems. So if you're thinking about moving here and you like those things, please don't bring them over here. We don't want them. But here are some things I want you to know about living in Vancouver, Washington before you make the move. Living on the border, I'm sure one of the things you hear all the time and you know about is taxes. Obviously, Washington state does not have a state income tax, but Oregon does. So if you end up moving to the Vancouver area, but you still keep a job in Portland, you're still gonna have to pay the Oregon state income tax bill. I believe it is reduced because I don't work in Oregon, so I don't exactly know, but you still have to pay that. Now, if you end up working in Washington state or you work from home, you do not have to pay that. So please keep that in mind as you're thinking about, oh, I might be able to get a 5 to 10% raise. Second thing I want you to know about Vancouver is that Vancouver is definitely more of a suburban and kind of family, slower oriented lifestyle. Now, of course, anyone can live here. You don't have to have a family. You don't have to be in a family. But typically when I see people contemplating between Vancouver or Portland, Oregon, they choose Portland if they want the nightlife and they want to go out, or maybe they're young and dating, that kind of thing. And a lot of people that are a little bit more settled down will choose Vancouver. Now, I don't have a family right now, and I still live in Vancouver, and I think that it's great, so it's really up to you what's best for you. I will say that if you still want that nightlife and walking to the bars, walking to restaurants kind of atmosphere, downtown or uptown in Vancouver, Washington is a great spot for you. That's really the most walkable place in the city, and there's lots of bars and fun activities to do that are super close, and a lot of young people like to live there. This one's kind of small, but this is something I've heard people say if they were looking to buy a home over in Portland, Oregon area, is that we don't have energy efficiency ratings when we're selling homes here. So that's a regulation they have only in Oregon where they give it like a score. We don't have that over here, but any of the newer homes that have been built in the last 5 to 7 years have to be energy efficient. So if you're looking for an energy efficient home, I would recommend that you look at something newer. I touched on this briefly a minute ago, but the city is very driving oriented. So unlike Portland, where there's kind of pockets and you can walk within all the different pockets or a lot of the different pockets, in Vancouver, downtown and uptown are really the only spots where this is feasible. Other than that, you probably have a car to get around, or possibly you take the bus, but the car is really what most people use here. Another thing I want you to know if you're moving from Portland, Oregon area to Vancouver is that there's a great spot for everyone here. So I'm gonna plug my other video that I posted a couple weeks ago called Where to Live in Vancouver, Washington, Every Neighborhood Explained kind of thing. And I basically go around on the map and I circle all of the neighborhood areas and kind of what the attributes are, what the homes are like, what it's like living there. And really there is something for everyone. Downtown and Uptown presents that kind of nightlife, young scene. We have beautiful luxury neighborhoods for people that want to live in something more high-end. We have neighborhoods that are convenient to the freeway, attached homes, detached homes, everything. So there is a spot for you here for sure. The last thing I'll touch on, really, if you're moving from Portland, Oregon to Vancouver, is that your money does go a little further, but I'd say only a little bit these days. Looking back 5 to 10 years ago, the gap between housing prices in Portland versus Vancouver was a lot larger, and now that gap is shrinking as we have so many buyers that need homes. They're starting to look out further and further. Your money will go further here. Cost of living is definitely a little bit less, but we're starting to see that gap shrinking. So it would likely be better for you to get in sooner rather than later. So if you are thinking about moving from Portland area over to Vancouver, making the switch across the river, I hope this was helpful to you and a good stepping stone in the process. Definitely check out my other videos. They'll help you determine where exactly in the county is best for you. I'd love to hear from you if you have additional questions. I probably didn't answer all of them in this video. And so feel free to reach out to me via email, text, phone call, DM me on Instagram, and I will have additional information down below in the description. Thanks for watching.